Welcome on into the Wolverine TV. Clayton Sayfie here with EJ Holland. We are breaking down 5 important Michigan visitors for this coming weekend that are probably on campus as we speak right now. EJ, we will start with 4-star outside linebacker Antosaka out of Maryland. What are your thoughts on him coming in for his official visit? And again, it's important to note that Michigan had a ton of guys for Victor's weekend last week, so a little less activity this weekend, but still some important visits.
Yeah, Saka. Well, first of all, he has a perfect last name for being a pass rusher. So, there you go with that. But no, he's a talented edge rusher. I know defensive analyst Ryan Osborne has been leading the way in his recruitment and has been making him one of the top priorities coming off the edge. On top of that, he's a guy that kind of just fits the mold of that defense, the guy they want as that edge rusher in Mike McDonald's new 3-4 scheme. He's a really smart kid that's definitely willing to expand his horizons and leave home. He's from Maryland, but he's very high on both Michigan and Northwestern. Both of those schools have done a really good job recruiting him. Penn State is another school that's very involved with him as well. So his recruitment has a lot of Big Ten flavor. I'm interested to see how things go this weekend. I think we should know a lot more after he spent some time on campus.
It's kind of funny. I mean, he's from Maryland, and you don't think of that as Big Ten country, but technically it is with Maryland now in the Big Ten.
So
So,
yeah,
yeah, so interesting, with the way his recruitment is going. The next guy coming in, Jaleel Tucker, 4-star athlete out of San Diego. Michigan has, been in on a few guys here out of California. I think it's tough to get guys to come in, but is he a guy that Michigan could possibly reel in? And what are your thoughts on him as he heads into Ann Arbor?
I love Jaleel Tucker. I've actually seen him live. I saw him at a pylon tournament down in Orlando way back in January. At the time, Michigan, had offered relatively early, and then contact had kind of tailed off. But now it looks like the Wolverines are back in the mix, thanks in large part to new director of player personnel Courtney Morgan, who has a lot of ties in this recruitment. But like I said, I really love Tucker as a player. He really impressed me as a corner. He's a long guy at about 6'1", 170, maybe even pushing 6'2". He has tremendous speed. I mean, like 4.3, 4.4 speed. Some schools even like him as a wide receiver. So he's a big time athlete. He has a lot of big offers up and down the West Coast. But just getting him on campus is a win, I think, for Michigan. And he's coming in with teammate Jaleel Florence, who is very, very high on Michigan, who we'll talk about here in a second.
Two Jaleels, different spelling. Jaleel Florence with an H, Jahlil. Florence, 3-star corner, also out of San Diego Lincoln, as you mentioned. Two teammates making the trip in. So I guess without further ado, let's talk about him.
Yeah, Florence. He's more of a developmental guy than is Tucker. But they're very good friends. They, like I said, play at the same high school. They also spent the offseason playing together with Dream Chasers on the 7-on-7, the club 7-on-7 circuit. Jaleel's a guy that didn't blow up until recently. It wasn't until May where he saw kind of a flurry of offers, late April going into May. But he's another tall, long corner. He's more of an upside guy, but he fits the mold of what Michigan is looking for in true outside corners. And even though Michigan already has Will and they're in a really good spot for Miles Pollard, they're considering bringing in another true corner, and Jaleel fits the mold. It would give him an in out in California and help Courtney Morgan as he really makes a push for Michigan to land more West Coast guys. But another, like I said, just intriguing prospect coming in this weekend.
Michigan has a tight end commit in the class of 2022 in Marlon Klein, but is bringing in another one for a visit this weekend. Colston Loveland out of Idaho, making that far trek as well, kind of from the west there. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I have not had a chance to see Colton live, but he is a prospect that's starting to gain more traction. You don't see a ton of recruits coming out of Idaho, but he's a guy that stock is on the rise. And like you said, Michigan wants another tight end. They utilized the tight end well over the last couple of cycles. They've only taken one in each cycle. So they had Matt Hibner coming in the 2020 class, who was more of a blocking tight end with some receiving capabilities. And last year, you had a really good take in Lewis Hansen. But if you remember, Michigan was trying to make a run for some other guys like Thomas Fidone, and other highly touted guys. They didn't finish with another tight end last cycle. And then this cycle, they're still in the mix for Oscar Delp, who they had on campus for a midweek official visit last week. They are trying to look at several other guys, with Colson being one of them. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how his visit goes. Like I said, his stock's been on the rise. He has some bigger offers out west, but Jay Harbaugh is low key a pretty plus recruiter, so he's going to try to make his impression this weekend.
Yeah, Jay Harbaugh does not get the credit that I think he deserves. Especially at the tight end spot, too. He's recruited really well at both spots, but now moving back to tight ends, he did a good job with the tight ends in his first 2 years on campus here, under coaching for his dad, developing and helping Jake Butt become a two-time All-American and all that. So, definitely a little underrated on the coaching staff there. Last guy that we will talk about, Marquarius White, 3-star wide receiver out of Pinson, Alabama. Coming up from the south, we've seen Michigan try to get in the mix with some more southern guys here. What are your takes on him?
Yeah, the wide receiver board is a little kind of all over the place right now. Michigan has 2 commits in Tyler Morris and Tayshawn Trent, but they'd like to take another wide receiver this class, potentially even 4 wide receivers. They'd like a quicker slot guy, that running back build that can play in the slot. But I think Marquarius is more of that true wide receiver that they're looking for. Michigan making a big push in Alabama. New director of recruiting, and Sean Larkins, has a lot of ties there. Josh Gaddis was obviously at Alabama before making his way over to Michigan. So both of those guys are making a nice push for Marquarius. He doesn't, really talk a whole lot, which is why you don't see, a ton written about him. But I think Michigan is in a sneaky good position for him and could really move up the list depending on how the visit goes. We've seen them, gain some traction with guys from Alabama like Justice Finkley, who made an official visit over the weekend. So I think Marquarius can be another guy from Alabama that Michigan, really establishes itself as one of those teams to beat.
So the last, visit weekend here for Michigan, what's next following this June period for the Wolverines now that they've had, I think 4 now, including this one, visit weekends?
Yeah, so, this visit weekend is going to start on Friday and end very early Sunday, because the Michigan staff is going to get on jets and fly across the country for their final satellite camp push. So Jim Harbaugh and company will actually be, literally heading around the country, from Pennsylvania to Washington. They'll be out and about for satellite camps. And then, we hit another dead period, which will take up most of the month of July. There will be a live period during the last week of July. So look for Michigan to have more recruiting events then. But, as we head into this last weekend, this is pretty much it for a little while in what's been kind of a crazy month.
Yeah, I was going to say lots of activity this month, a little bit of downtime, and then obviously we'll ramp up closer to the football season. So that's our little preview of this weekend for on-campus recruiting for Michigan. For the full coverage and seeing how all these visits went following the weekend, head over to the Wolverine.com. Promo code BLUE60 gets you 60 days of our premium content for free. You can try us out with that free trial. So promo code BLUE60, and we'll see you over there.